see it in the mainstream media, but among the executive orders signed by Donald Trump recently declared a national emergency. The executive order, addressed to Congress, states that pursuant to the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, he's declaring a national emergency with respect to the unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security, foreign policy, and economy of the United States posed by serious human rights abuse and corruption around the world. In other words, the act is targeting international human rights abuses. Given the timing of this order and the recent drama with the United Nations, which overwhelmingly passed a resolution dissenting from Trump's declaration of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, it's apparently directed at many of those countries. It's clear that they've gone unchecked thus far, and one should not look further than their treatment of Israel to prove as much. According to Unbiased America, in 2016, the UN General Assembly passed 5 times more resolutions against Israel than against North Korea, Syria, Russia, Iran, and the rest of the world combined. The executive order reads, to the Congress of the United States, pursuant to the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, as amended, 50 U.S.C. 1701 ASEQ, IEEPA. I hereby report that I have issued the enclosed executive order, the order declaring a national emergency with respect to the unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security, foreign policy, and economy of the United States posed by serious human rights abuse and corruption around the world. In addition to taking action under IEEPA, the order implements the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act, Public Law 114-328, the Act, and delegates certain of its authorities. The order blocks the property and interests in property of persons listed in the annex to the order. It also blocks the property and interests in property of any foreign person determined by the Secretary of the Treasury, in consultation with the Secretary of State and the Attorney General. 1. To be responsible for a complicit in, or to have directly or indirectly engaged in serious human rights abuse. 2. To be a current or former government official, or a person acting for or on behalf of such an official, who is responsible for a complicit in, or has directly or indirectly engaged in a. Corruption, including the misappropriation of state assets, the expropriation of private assets for personal gain, corruption related to government contracts or the extraction of natural resources, or bribery. Or b. The transfer or the facilitation of the transfer of the proceeds of corruption. 3. To be or have been a leader or official of a. an entity, including any government entity, that has engaged in, or whose members have engaged in, any of the activities described in 1, 2a, or 2b, above relating to the leader's or official's tenure. Or b. An entity whose property and interests in property are blocked pursuant to the order as a result of activities related to the leader's or the official's tenure. Or 4. To have attempted to engage in any of the activities described in 1, 2a, or 2b, above. The order also blocks any person determined by the Secretary of the Treasury, in consultation with the Secretary of State and the Attorney General. 5. To have materially assisted, sponsored, or provided financial, material, or technological support for, or goods or services to or in support of a. any activity described in 1, 2a, or 2b, above that is conducted by a foreign person. b. Any person whose property and interests in property are blocked pursuant to the order. Or c. Any entity described in 3a, above where the activity is conducted by a foreign person. 6. To be owned or controlled by, or to have acted or purported to act for or on behalf of, directly or indirectly, any person whose property and interests in property are blocked pursuant to the order. Or 7. To have attempted to engage in any of the activities described in 5 or 6 above. In addition, the order suspends entry into the United States of any alien listed in the annex or determined to meet one or more of the criteria above. I have delegated to the Secretary of the Treasury the authority, in consultation with the Secretary of State, to take such actions, including adopting rules and regulations, and to employ all powers granted to the President by i.e. EPA and the Act, as may be necessary to implement the order and relevant provisions of the Act. I have delegated to the Secretary of State the authority to take such actions, including adopting rules and regulations, and to employ all powers granted to the President by i.e. EPA and the Act, as may be necessary to implement the provisions of the order and the Act suspending entry into the United States of certain aliens. All executive departments and agencies are directed to take all appropriate measures within their authority to implement the order. Donald J. Trump, The White House, December 20, 2017. According to Freedom Daily, the executive order is directed against some specific individuals. Among them include an Israeli billionaire, the head of Nicaragua's Electoral Commission, and the former president of Gambia. They are 1. Mukhtar Hamid Shah, date of birth Dob, August 11, 1939, Alt. Dob, November 8, 1939, nationality, Pakistan 2. Angel Rondon Rijo, Dob, July 16, 1950, nationality, Dominican Republic 3. Dan Gertler, Dob, December 23, 1973, nationality, Israel, Alt, nationality, Democratic Republic of the Congo 4. Mong Mong Soe, Dob, March 1964, nationality, Burma 5. Yahya Jammeh, Dob, May 25, 1965, nationality, The Gambia 6. Sergei Kuzaruk, Dob, December 1, 1966, nationality, Ukraine, Alt, nationality, Russia 7. Benjamin Bolmel, Dob, January 3, 1978, Alt. Dob, December 24, 1978, nationality, South Sudan, Alt, nationality, Sudan 8. Julio Antonio Juarez Ramirez, Dob, December 1, 1980, nationality, Guatemala 9. Gul Noor Islam of Karamova, Dob, July 8, 1972, nationality, Uzbekistan 10. Slobodan Tizik, Dob, December 21, 1958, nationality, Serbia 11. Artem Yuryevich Chayka, Dob, September 25, 1975, nationality, Russia 12. Gao Yan, Dob, April 1963, nationality, China 13. Roberto Jose Rivas Reyes, Dob, July 6, 1954, nationality, Nicaragua. How will the United Nations respond? Will they ignore real problems to things that matter?